UFC 129. My name is KD, and I'm going to start trying to do a little preview of the fights, some predictions, my feelings on UFC, Strikeforce, MMA in general. And again, I'm going to possibly be wrong from time to time. I know I am when I'm screaming at the TV every UFC or Strikeforce event or MMA event that I watch. But getting to UFC 120, before I get to UFC 129, in fact, let's talk about real quickly Dana White and the UFC taking over Strikeforce as well, or incorporating Strikeforce into the family of the UFC. There's a direct correlation to what Vince McMahon did with WWE and when he took over WCW. Open message to Dana White: please don't screw this up. Okay, Vince McMahon has not done a good job monopolizing the sports entertainment field, and I believe that if you're not careful, you could pretty much screw this whole thing up. I mean, we need to keep women fights. You need to keep the Challenger Series going. You really need to keep more tournaments going in Strikeforce. Keep the focus totally different and separate from what you're doing with the UFC. Very important. You may be able to mix the fighters eventually, but just be careful. But with that said, let's get to UFC 129. First fight I want to talk about is Claude Patrick versus Daniel Roberts. Now, this fight's going to be on Facebook. I have yet to watch the Facebook fights. Not saying it's because I haven't wanted to. It's more or less because I always get in with groups of people and we're enjoying ourselves, and we never get an opportunity to actually hook the computer up to the TV or the monitor so that we can actually watch the Facebook fights. So, but I do think that the Claude Patrick and Daniel Roberts fight is going to be very, very impressive because one of these two guys eventually is going to be a name to be seen. So I don't actually have a prediction in that fight. I'm thinking Ninja Daniel Roberts, but I can't say for sure. But now let's get on with the preliminary fights that are going to be held on Spike Television. And on Spike Television, I believe it will start with. I'm going the wrong way. Oh, sorry about that. I believe the Spike Television broadcast will begin with Sean Pearson and Jake Ellenberger. Picking Jake Ellenberger, good fighter. Both of them are very good fighters. Just going with Jake Ellenberger. Uh, I do like the Nate Diaz Rory McDonald fight. Nate Diaz, just like his brother Nick Diaz, is a beast, both on the ground and standing. Neither guy's punches, well, when I say neither, I'm just talking about his brother Nick and Nate. Neither Nate or Nick's punches look very fast, but they are very direct, and they score. And they don't look like they have a lot of power because of the thin and the long reaches of the guys in their thin frames. But I tell you, they apparently do. But to be quite honest with you, in this particular fight, I'm actually going to pick Rory McDonald by knockout or by TKO in the. Well, I'm going to see. I'm going out on a limb. I was just going to go ahead and say win or lose, but I'm actually going to go ahead and pick Rory McDonald to get a technical knockout in the second round. Going the wrong way again. Oops. And following that fight, we're looking at another preliminary fight. Is the Dan Henderson versus Mark Bocek fight, or Bocek. I like Ben Henderson. I'm sorry, not Dan Henderson. That's the next Strikeforce card. Ben Henderson versus Mark Bocek. Ben Henderson is a beast. Ben Henderson to win. Randy Couture, Lyoto Machida. This one, uh, a couple years ago, I might have said Randy had a chance. I honestly, again, here's the problem. You almost can never say Randy doesn't have a chance. When does Captain America not have a chance? Saturday. Saturday, he doesn't have that much of a chance. Lyoto Machida has got to have a win here. And because he has to have a win, he will have a win. Lyoto Machida to win. Now, again, one of the things that that happens to me is sometimes when the fighters come out and we see their faces, boom, you know automatically I picked the wrong guy, because your guy comes out looking like, oh my goodness, what I get myself into. If that happens, bully for me, because I can't come back on and say it. But I'm picking Lyoto Machida to pretty much to dominate Randy Couture, and hopefully Randy may have to retire gracefully. This is not to say that he's not a great fighter, a great athlete, but he can also go the way of Dan, not Don Fry, Dan Severn. Dan Severn still fights in a lot of the minor leagues and wins a lot of fights. And certainly Randy Couture can beat a lot of people, but he's not on his way to getting another title. Lyoto Machida may not be on his way to getting another title. In fact, no one may be on their way in the 205 weight class to getting another title until John Jones decides to relinquish the title. But at any rate, I'm picking Lyoto Machida in the Couture fight. The next fight is Vladimir Matyuchenko versus Jason Brills. I'm sorry. If Vladimir's best is what he showed in the John Jones fight, then it wasn't much. But we know that that's not the case. We know John Jones actually, with his reach and his style, confuses and confounds a lot of people. So actually, Vladimir Matyuchenko, I'm going to actually, I'm going to pick him to win this fight. Okay. Jose Aldo fight and Mark Hominick. Jose Aldo. And the main event. Shall we step out on a limb? Yeah, I'm going out on a limb. Jake Shields to win the fight by decision. There will be probably 2 rounds of ground and grind, or lay and pray, or pounce and hump. But there should be some excitement as well. But in the end, I'm going to go ahead and out on a limb and pick Jake Shields to win by decision. It's been fun. Please leave some reviews. Again, I'm going to hopefully get better at this as I go forward, and enjoy the fights. Thank you.